What kind of contracts do you need when you are running a concierge nurse business? Hi, I'm Catie Harris from NursePreneurs, and I'm here today with the owner of Elite Concierge Nurses, Kimball Walters. Kimball, thanks so much for being here with us today. And what we want to know is what kind of contracts are required to run a concierge nurse business?
Hi, Catie. Thank you for having me. Okay, contracts for nurse concierge services. There are a couple of different contracts that I use in my business. One is for the patient themselves. So you want to have a contract between the nurse and the patient, or the business and the patient, just covering what services you will offer, and you're agreeing on those services, and you're also agreeing on, what you may be paid from them as well. There's a lot of information that goes in these contracts, but that is the main one that you want to make sure you have done. Other contracts would include, I also have a transportation contract because I do drive them in my car. It is a lot bigger than just a little paragraph that I can put into the contract for the nurse and, between the nurse and the patient. So I have a separate transportation contract. So it releases any liability if anything happens, driving them to or from their facility for their procedure. So that's another major one that I use, which is fantastic. I don't really have a contract with the doctor as far as providing care, but I do have a business partner contract with the offices that I do business with. Because if I have a question about a patient that's coming up, they call me, we do this pre-screening thing, and I have any additional questions, I'd like to be able to call the office and say, hey, I'm going to be taking care of your patient. Her name is this, or his name is that, and I have a couple of questions. And in order for them to answer these questions, protecting the privacy and the HIPAA rules and all that good stuff, I have to have some kind of business partnership agreement between myself and that office. So that is a really important one.
That is really important. So, so first thing you said was between the patient and the business. And I think that one's really, really important because, and we've talked about this on legal videos before with Joe Flores, and, having that contract, because what you think you're going to deliver and what the client thinks that you are going to deliver, there's so much opportunity for there to be miscommunication there. And so delineating out exactly what you're going to be doing and having that in a contract that they sign is really, really important.
Yes, it is very important. The amount of time that you're expected to take care of them, exactly what services you're going to be providing, exactly how much those services are going to cost, when they're going to start, when they're going to finish. All of that is really important to cover, because you're right. My opinion about one thing could be different from their opinion. So when you put it in writing, there's no misunderstandings.
Yeah, that's great. And then with the transportation contract, I think that's also a really important one because, we always think of, oh, we're doing this great service, but then there's always the opportunity for some sort of accident and then you become liable. So having that contract so they understand the risk of just taking somebody home, that there's always a risk to doing anything.
That's correct. There is a risk. That's why they call them accidents. We don't want them to happen. But it's really important for you guys to talk about that ahead of time and get this contract signed, because in the event, after they have surgery, they're in the car with you and bam, there's an accident, then they're going to look at you like, you were taking me home, you're responsible for whatever's happened to me. And really, no one wants to have an accident, but things happen. And so you just have to have yourself covered. And there just has to be a mutual understanding.
Yeah, and that third one about having it with the business practice itself, with the physician's office or the provider's office, is something that I don't even know if people or nurses would be thinking about. But yeah, if you need information or you need to convey information, you have to have those HIPAA forms in place.
Yes, that's correct. I really, that has been one that's been most useful to me. Dealing with the patients that I deal with, there's a lot of questions that they have, And even though they see their doctor, they're not always clear when they leave the doctor's office. So, being their nurse, they come to me, they say, hey, I know he said this, but I'm not really sure what he meant by that. Or can I take this medicine? Or can I do this activity? Or, and of course, I know the answers to a lot of that stuff, but the goal is to follow the direction of their doctor. That's the whole goal. Make sure you're following the discharge instructions and taking the medications they want you to take. And so if it's not written down for you, you really need to call and just clarify and verify before you make a decision on your own. That's within that scope of practice I was talking about earlier. And yeah, you just really have to make sure that you are following what they want you to do. So having that relationship with the office and that contract on file there, they are free to talk to you about their client and your client.
Right, and that's the whole point of having a concierge nurse there with you in the first place, is to have these conversations with your doctor or whoever they need to speak with on the patient's behalf. So.
That's correct, yes.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for this information.
Thank you, Catie.
When you're ready to start or scale a concierge nurse business, NursePreneurs is the world's largest and most experienced group of concierge nurses. We can set up and launch your concierge nurse business in 90 days. In addition to all the concierge nurses in our own group, you also get your own personal one-on-one concierge nurse mentor who guides you through all the obstacles and challenges that are inherent in this type of business model. If you want to get started without the headache and the overwhelm of trying to figure out all the pieces on your own, you want to be supported throughout the entire process and start generating income in the next 90 days, then go to catieharris.com/application, complete the application, and schedule your interview today.